Got a question from Michael, and he wants to know when's the next podcast. Well, answer to that question is, first of all, thanks to Jamie English for having me on now. And his podcast, or that particular show, had received over 250,000 views in less than 3 weeks. So I'm really overwhelmed by that. And since that time, I've been invited on the Shaun Attwood podcast, which I've accepted. So that'll be my next interview. So I'm looking forward to that one, and talking about a lot of stuff again. And it'll be really interesting, obviously, looking into that whole rave and ecstasy scenario. Also, second question coming in was any chance of a film. I can say to you now, yes, there is something in the pipeline in terms of a network series. I won't talk too much about it at the moment, but as a result of that, fortunately, the questions and answers that I've been doing every day, I will unable to do any more. So for a little while anyway, as I said. So stay tuned to this. As I said, subscribe to our channel, and you will get updates as and when. And I can say thank you all for giving me the support on the AP Foundation, throwing the support behind it, and this journey which we're on. And as I said, this life of crime could have seemed very glamorous to a lot of people, but it's not. You know, it's completely the opposite. It will end in death and destruction and misery, as I said, thousands if not millions of others. So, you know, stay focused and look for a clean path in life, because it's always the better way. Been asked a question by Roots Radix. Miss Jamaica, who I used to see, was it Anne-Marie? No, it wasn't. I was married to Aquart. She was Miss Jamaica 1990, and at Miss World she came fourth, and she also won Caribbean Queen, which basically meant that she actually was voted higher than, you know, Miss Puerto Rico, all the Caribbean islands, Trinidad and Tobago, and obviously many beautiful women were in that contest back then. Yeah, I married Erica. Got a question from Lee D. He wants to know what my opinions are on drug legalisation. Well, yeah, interesting topic. And I may surprise some of you with this answer. I think some drugs potentially could be legalised, and others I don't think should be legalised. For example, marijuana, cannabis. I think it's a plant that's been here long before we even existed as human beings. And I think it has a right to be on this planet. And to be honest, in its natural form, I believe it's quite harmless. And I'll say that in the contents of, you know, we draw chemicals, oils from that particular plant now, CBD oil. And I've seen some of the work it does, you know, and it's quite amazing. You know, it cures and heals elements which, you know, we've looked at and struggled with for years, and pharmaceutical companies have tried to come up with, you know, alternative medicines to try to, you know, work in the same effect. But CBD clearly is showing results, you know, which go above and beyond. And I think it's probably those same pharmaceutical companies actually have suppressed it for many years, and not wanted it, obviously, for its true elements to be brought forward. But I think now you've got, you know, scientists and, you know, people looking at it and really, you know, making the benefit from it. But not just, obviously, you know, in the medicinal purposes, but also with the byproducts like just skin creams and, you know, the fabrics which are being made by hemp at the moment, you know, clothing and other such type things. The one thing about it though, like many things, I think when these things do suddenly, you know, become legalised, which it will become legalised at some point, is when the big, you know, corporations move in. And that's a real pity, because little farmers who've paid a very hard price over the years, you know, being locked up and, you know, and having their fields burnt down, they're the ones usually have the little benefit when these things go into the mainstream. So I think, you know, marijuana as a product, I think there are different strains, and some of those can be very harmful to people, you know, and I've seen people with psychosis and things like this. So, you know, it's not something everyone, you know, I think can take safely, but I do think certain drugs should certainly be allowed, you know, legalised under prescription, you know, where pharmacists can, you know, deliver them over the counter. They could be prescribed, but I think it's very important. Not everything's for everyone, you know, and I don't want to encourage drugs, because anything which is a chemical which is made naturally, I don't believe should be going into your body. But something obviously which comes from the earth. And strangely enough, saying that, we had someone on the surgery, our Friday surgery, on our Instagram live, and he was talking about the elements, you know, and one thing he did say, if you look around a room, any room you're in, everything you'll see has been actually made by man. You know, it starts as a thought in your mind, and then man goes off and actually makes it and creates it. The only things he doesn't do are things like plants and, you know, the rain, the snow, you know, the sun. You know, these things are God-given things, you know, which were created, and they're here long before us. And I think with herbs and plants, those ones which are here before us have right to, you know, be looked at. And, you know, rather than outlawed, understand the real benefits, if there are benefits in those, before you're so judgmental about them. Yeah, that's where I stand. Got a question from John Smith. He wants to know what DJs did we used to book for Genesis. Well, we had a rotation of DJs we used to use. The early days, I remember Tony Billerick Wilson. He was one of our regular DJs, Lyndon C. We also had Rob, who used to play with Lyndon at the Dungeons. And, you know, we had Phil and Ben used to play. Trevor Fung had played. I think Eddie Richards, Evil Eddie Richards, they used to call him. We had Fabio, we had Groove Rider. Mickey Finn played at Genesis. We also actually, Kenny, if I'm right, Kenny I think played his first actual DJ set at Genesis, and that was quite a story, because we had a warehouse just off of Mere Street, and the DJs, we got the place very late in the day, and the DJs who were due to appear hadn't arrived yet, and people were sort of, you know, flooding into the warehouse. I remember Kenny coming to me and saying, listen, he says, I've got some records, I can you know, I can play and sort of hold the thing up. And Kenny, so Kenny Ken started playing. We say Kenny Players, he always used to play. And there was just a whole arraignment of DJs, actually. I'm sorry if I missed some out, because Genesis really was a place that broke a lot of DJs and brought a lot of them guys to prominence on the scene. And yeah, generally speaking, we were actually a trendsetter, because, you know, we were actually playing early garage when Acid House was still being played, and that was a big breakthrough, because, you know, the soulful garage and soulful house was also coming out of Genesis at that time. So I hope that answers your question. Bob Best wants to know if I've got a copy of McIntyre's Underworld, Cocaine and Coconuts. Well, actually I do. He wants to know if he can upload it. Well, we can't just do it like that, I'm afraid, because there are things called copyright. However, Donald McIntyre happens to be a trustee with the AP Foundation, and Michael Simkin, the producer of that show, is also on our advisory board. So who knows, maybe in the near future we'll get their blessing, and maybe as a secret surprise we'll be able to upload it in its full version, and you'll get an opportunity to see me many years ago during that trial. So yeah, fingers crossed, who knows. I think you need to request it. I think you should bombard them, actually. Send them loads of emails, send them loads of requests to info@apfoundation.co.uk, and we'll see if we can twist their arms, eh?